For a long time, playing for a big NBA team was considered the ultimate achievement. Large markets represented success, recognition, and stability. Players believed that once they reached a franchise with global exposure, their career path would naturally become safer and more respected. Big arenas, national television games, and constant media attention created the idea that these teams offered protection and long-term value. However, the modern NBA slowly exposed a different reality. Over the past few seasons, players inside the league have begun to understand that big teams do not automatically mean opportunity. In many cases, they represent pressure, instability, and constant uncertainty. This realization did not come from emotion or rebellion. It came from experience. Big market teams operate under relentless expectations. Winning is not optional, it is mandatory. Every loss creates tension. Every underperformance triggers speculation. Coaches are pressured to react quickly, often sacrificing development for immediate results. For players who are not superstars, this environment becomes extremely fragile. Minutes are never guaranteed. Roles change rapidly. A player can be praised one week and forgotten the next. A single bad stretch can erase months of solid performance. In these situations, trust disappears quickly, and confidence is often the first casualty. Many NBA players have witnessed teammates sign with major franchises, expecting growth, only to see their role shrink almost immediately. A new trade, a rotation change, or a shift in coaching philosophy can completely redefine a player's position within the team. These decisions happen without warning. Guaranteed contracts do not protect players from this reality. Money ensures payment, but it does not ensure relevance. A player can be fully paid while slowly disappearing from the rotation. In the NBA, playing time is currency. Without it, visibility fades and opportunities disappear. This is where the mindset started to change. Players began to question the old logic. Instead of asking which team had the biggest brand, they started asking where they would actually play, where their skills would be used, and where they would be trusted. Smaller markets started to look different. Less noise, less pressure, more structure. In these environments, players often receive clearer roles and more consistent communication. Coaches can afford to be patient. Development is encouraged instead of rushed. This clarity creates confidence. When players know what is expected from them, performance becomes more stable. Mistakes are treated as part of growth rather than proof of failure. Over time, this stability can extend a career more effectively than exposure alone. Media pressure also plays a major role. In large markets, narratives form quickly and rarely change. Once a player is labeled negatively, escaping that perception becomes almost impossible. Context is often ignored. Performance is judged emotionally rather than analytically. These factors combined forced NBA players to rethink what success truly means in the modern league. As players spent more time inside the league, they began to understand how quickly situations could change on big teams. Coaching staffs rarely stay the same for long. A new coach often brings a new system, new preferences, and new priorities. Players who once fit perfectly can suddenly find themselves misaligned with the new vision. When that happens in a large market, patience is minimal. Front offices in big franchises are also under constant pressure to act. A losing streak can trigger aggressive trades. Draft picks are moved quickly. Veterans are added or removed with little regard for long-term continuity. In this environment, players often feel more like movable assets than valued contributors. This instability directly affects performance. When players are unsure of their role, they hesitate. They play cautiously. Confidence drops. Decision-making slows. Basketball becomes less instinctive and more stressful. Over time, this impacts efficiency, consistency, and overall value. Smaller market teams often operate differently. Without the same level of national attention, they can afford to think long-term. Development plans are more structured. Players are given time to adjust, learn, and grow. Mistakes are corrected internally rather than punished publicly. This difference in approach has a powerful effect on player psychology. Feeling trusted leads to better communication. Players are more willing to ask questions, take responsibility, and improve weaknesses. The environment becomes collaborative rather than confrontational. Another important factor is how media narratives shape careers. In large markets, media coverage is constant and intense. Players are discussed daily, often without nuance. A few poor performances can define an entire season. Once a negative narrative takes hold, it becomes difficult to reverse. In smaller markets, coverage tends to be more measured. Performances are analyzed with more context. Players are allowed to evolve. This freedom can be the difference between stagnation and growth. Players also started to recognize that visibility does not always equal value. Sitting on the bench of a famous team may provide exposure, but it does not build momentum. Playing meaningful minutes on a quieter team often creates better film, stronger statistics, and more leverage for future contracts. This realization has influenced contract decisions across the league. More players are willing to accept shorter deals or flexible contracts if it means securing a clearer role. Flexibility has become a form of protection. It allows players to react when situations change instead of being trapped. Agents have adjusted their strategies accordingly. Negotiations now focus on options, mobility, and timing. The objective is not just maximizing guaranteed money, but preserving control over the next move. This shift has also affected locker room dynamics. Players who feel trapped often disengage. Players who feel in control tend to communicate more openly. Trust improves. Chemistry strengthens. These factors directly impact team performance. The NBA has become an environment where adaptability matters as much as talent. Players who understand this reality are making decisions based on sustainability rather than perception. Leaving a big team is no longer viewed internally as a step backward. It is increasingly seen as a strategic adjustment in response to a fast-moving league. And this shift is only becoming more common. Another element driving this quiet movement is how power dynamics work inside big NBA organizations. In large franchises, decisions are often influenced by ownership pressure, sponsorship interests, and long-term branding concerns. Basketball decisions are rarely isolated. Players quickly realize that performance alone does not always determine opportunity. Star players naturally receive priority. Their status shapes rotations, play calls, and long-term planning. For everyone else, adaptability becomes mandatory. A role player might be asked to change their style, reduce their usage, or sacrifice strengths to fit a narrative built around stars. Over time, this erodes identity. When players lose their basketball identity, confidence suffers. They stop playing freely, they hesitate, they overthink. This internal struggle is rarely visible to fans, but it has a massive impact on performance. In big markets, there is little room to work through this quietly. Smaller market teams often allow players to retain their identity. Systems are built around skill sets rather than branding. Coaches focus on maximizing individual strengths instead of forcing uniform roles. This freedom leads to more natural basketball. Players have also become more aware of how fast the league moves.
One season can completely redefine a career. A player who is misused or marginalized for a year can lose leverage permanently. Scouts, executives, and coaches remember usage as much as talent. Because of this, players are increasingly proactive. They do not wait for situations to collapse. They anticipate change. They recognize when an environment no longer serves their growth. Leaving early becomes a form of career management. Public perception often lags behind this reality. Fans tend to interpret departures emotionally. Loyalty is questioned, commitment is criticized. But inside the league, these decisions are viewed pragmatically. Careers are short, windows are narrow, timing matters. Mental fatigue also plays a role. Constant scrutiny drains focus. Social media amplifies criticism. Players in large markets rarely disconnect. Every performance follows them off the court. Over time, this environment becomes exhausting. In quieter markets, players often regain balance. Less noise allows more concentration. Recovery improves. Preparation becomes more intentional. These small differences compound over a season. The business side of the NBA reinforces this shift. Teams prioritize flexibility. Contracts are structured to allow movement. Roster spots are treated as tools rather than commitments. Players are responding rationally to the same incentives. Endorsements and personal branding have evolved. Exposure is no longer tied exclusively to market size. Digital platforms allow players to build followings anywhere. Performance travels faster than location. A player contributing consistently on a smaller team can attract attention just as effectively as one sitting behind stars on a major franchise. This reality weakens the traditional advantage of big markets. As these patterns repeat, players share experiences. Lessons spread quickly across locker rooms. Younger players enter the league with different expectations. They're more cautious, more strategic, less impressed by brand alone. This generational awareness is accelerating the trend. Big teams are no longer automatic destinations. They're evaluated like any other organization. And that evaluation often leads players to look elsewhere.
At this stage of the season, it is no longer just about wins and losses. What unfolds now is a psychological test where every possession carries more weight than the box score can reveal. What once looked like normal inconsistency begins to show signs of something deeper, a structural issue inside the team. Players step onto the court fully aware that the atmosphere has changed. Interviews become cautious, answers are shorter. The same phrase is repeated again and again, one game at a time. Anyone familiar with the NBA knows what that means. Internal pressure has reached a critical level. Analysts start identifying patterns that go far beyond surface statistics. Rotations tighten. Young players see fewer minutes. Late-game play calling becomes predictable. And when the fourth quarter arrives, the ball repeatedly finds the same hands, even when efficiency metrics suggest it shouldn't. This is where the narrative shifts. In the modern NBA, talent alone is never enough. Nearly every team has stars. What separates contenders from pretenders is adaptability under pressure. And this team, right now, is struggling precisely in that area. Advanced metrics confirm what the eye test suggests. Offensive rating drops sharply in clutch minutes. Defensive schemes grow more conservative. Switching slows down. Help defense collapses earlier than planned, leaving shooters open on the perimeter. This is not about effort. It's about cohesion breaking down. When that happens, accountability inevitably falls on two figures, the on-court leader and the coaching staff. The head coach faces a familiar NBA dilemma: stay loyal to the system that brought early success or overhaul key elements to salvage the season. Adjusting risks alienating star players. Staying the course risks becoming predictable when it matters most. These are decisions that define careers in this league.
Behind the scenes, subtle signals begin to emerge. Nothing official, of course, but sources close to the organization mention longer meetings, film sessions stretch late into the night, one-on-one conversations become routine. When this information leaks, it's a clear sign the team is searching for answers before time runs out. The fan base senses it as well. Social media tone shifts. Early season optimism gives way to frustration. Old highlight clips resurface, not as celebration, but as comparison. What happened to this team becomes a recurring question. And that question is dangerous, because it builds emotional pressure that players cannot escape, especially star players who understand that in the NBA, memory is short. One disappointing postseason can redefine an entire career narrative. That's when the pivotal game arrives. Officially, it counts as just another regular season matchup. In reality, it carries far more weight: narrative weight, confidence weight. Time itself feels at stake. The opponent is a direct competitor, physical, disciplined, and efficient, a team that exposes weaknesses without mercy. From warm-ups onward, the tension is visible. Every possession feels playoff-level intense. The first half is tightly contested, lead changes, defensive battles, limited spacing. But the key moments come late in the second quarter, a sequence of unforced turnovers, a mistimed timeout, one defensive miscommunication. Halftime arrives with an unsettling feeling. The score is close, but control is slipping. Inside the locker room, the tone is serious. No yelling, just accountability. Adjustments are made. The star speaks up. The message is clear: cleaner execution, less isolation, better reads. The third quarter starts strong. Defensive intensity spikes. Ball movement improves. A scoring run energizes the arena. For a moment, everything feels aligned again. But the NBA rarely allows simple endings. In the fourth quarter, the opponent adapts. Double teams come faster. Defensive switches tighten. Shot quality deteriorates. The clock becomes an enemy. Every possession grows heavier. Every mistake is magnified. This is where narratives are forged. Not just by the final score, but how it happens. Body language, decision-making, who takes the last shot, who gets targeted defensively, who embraces or avoids responsibility. Regardless of the outcome, one truth becomes unavoidable. This team can no longer hide behind potential. The phase of promise is over. What remains is accountability. From this point forward, every game stops being just data. It becomes evidence for media narratives, for fans, for the front office, and ultimately, for the future of this franchise in the NBA.
The final buzzer does not end the story. In many cases, it begins it. Within minutes of the game ending, narratives take shape across the league. Analysts dissect every possession. Clips circulate online highlighting defensive breakdowns, missed rotations, and questionable shot selection. What once would have been dismissed as just one game now feels like confirmation of a larger issue. Press conferences become critical moments. The head coach speaks carefully. Words are chosen with precision. Phrases like, "We'll watch the film," and "We have to be better," dominate the conversation. There is no panic in the tone, but there is no confidence either. And in the NBA, lack of clarity is often more alarming than anger. When the star player takes the podium, the room quiets. Every answer is analyzed for subtext. Body language matters. Eye contact matters. Even pauses between sentences become headlines. Reporters are no longer asking about effort or execution. They are asking about leadership, trust, and responsibility. That shift is telling. Inside the locker room, emotions are more raw. Veterans speak openly. Younger players listen. Some feel frustration. Others feel urgency. Everyone feels the pressure, because they all understand the same reality. Windows close faster than they open in this league. Film sessions over the next few days are intense. Mistakes are paused and replayed. Defensive rotations are frozen on the screen. Coaches ask questions instead of giving answers. Who should have helped here? Why did the spacing collapse? Why was the read late? Silence follows many of those moments, and silence inside an NBA locker room is never comfortable. At this stage, front offices start paying closer attention. Executives review internal reports. Advanced analytics are revisited. Player usage, efficiency in clutch moments, and lineup data are examined with fresh urgency. Every decision now has consequences beyond the current season. Trade deadlines, contract extensions, off-season plans, nothing exists in isolation. Meanwhile, league insiders begin talking. Podcasts, insider columns, television segments. Phrases like crossroads season and defining stretch become common. Even without direct leaks, the perception grows that this team is approaching a point of no return. Fans feel it. Attendance remains strong, but the energy changes. Cheers are shorter. Groans come quicker. Every missed shot feels heavier than before. The relationship between team and fan base enters a fragile phase where trust can either be rebuilt or permanently damaged. The next few games are critical, not because of standings alone, but because of identity. Will the team respond with cohesion, or will cracks widen? Will adjustments be real or merely cosmetic? NBA history is filled with teams that failed not due to lack of talent, but due to inability to adapt when it mattered most. Opponents sense vulnerability. Scouting reports grow bolder. Defensive schemes target weaknesses without hesitation. Teams test the mental toughness of the star. Physical defense increases. Traps come earlier. Help defenders rotate faster. The message is clear. Prove it. This is where true leaders emerge or disappear. Some players rise in these moments. They simplify the game, make the right pass, take responsibility on defense. Others press, force shots, try to silence criticism individually instead of trusting the system. The difference between those responses often determines careers. As the stretch continues, small changes appear. Lineup tweaks, rotational experiments, subtle shifts in play calling. The coaching staff searches for combinations that restore balance without destabilizing the locker room. But time is not unlimited. Every loss now carries exponential weight. Every win is questioned. Was it sustainable or just a temporary relief? Consistency becomes the ultimate test. And looming over all of this is the postseason. Play-in scenarios, matchup projections, home court implications. The margin for error shrinks with every passing week. Teams that hesitate now often regret it later. By this point, one conclusion becomes unavoidable. This season will define how this group is remembered, not just by fans, but by the organization itself. Decisions made now will echo into the offseason and beyond. Contracts, coaching futures, roster construction, all of it is quietly being shaped by what happens in this stretch. The NBA moves fast, reputations are fragile, narratives harden quickly, and the next chapter is already forming. Because what comes next is not about fixing mistakes, it is about surviving the consequences.